begin to imagine what today has been like in terms of just everything you had to do. What, if you could put it into words? You woke up what time? First thing you did?
I woke up, there's a camera over there, so. And I gotta stop not mumble. I got up about 5:30 and I took a shower and I shaved, I brushed my teeth. And I got in the Word a little bit and I prayed. And then I had breakfast. And then I got dressed and ready to get over here. And by then it was about 7:10. And I really wasn't 100% sure how to get here from where I was, but because I put in the GPS just the University of Miami. I tried to put One Hurricane Drive, but it just didn't work for some reason. It doesn't pick it up. So anyway, it did pick it up for me. So I was kind of wandering my way in, but once I hit, was it Ponce de Leon?
Yeah.
I thought I was on the right street, but every time I looked to the right, there was a building I'd never seen before. And I said, I hope I see the baseball stadium soon, and then eventually I did. And I knew where I was. But then they gave me a little clicker to get into the parking lot, and it was raining out there. And of course, I'm like, what did I do with that thing? So I'm searching for that, can't find it, and parked out there in front illegally probably for a minute, and in front of the Heck Center. But anyway, and then we just, gosh, I don't know if you want to hear it all. Let's see. I met with Dave Epstein, met with Larry Scott for a minute, I met with the team, did a drug test, met with the president, and then pretty much came over here. So that's where we're at right now. Met with some of the board of trustees. So that was it.
Any emotions through all of that?
Just
Overwhelming?
excited, just excited. No, I'm not overwhelmed at all. I feel pretty comfortable, actually. It feels like home, and I've been, coaching ball for a while and being head coach for a while, so it's not all that unusual.
You give great answers to questions. I mean, that was very detailed.
Yeah, probably too.
We're going to enjoy that. No, that's good. Keep doing that.
Okay.
Actually, we do a lot of recruiting coverage, so I wanted to ask you a little, maybe it's
Right.
minutia, maybe not, but I think they had some visits scheduled, obviously not this weekend, but next
Right.
weekend. Is it important to have a coaching staff,
Well,
coordinators in place by then, or what's your view on that?
That's a good question, and I don't know. Sometimes, first of all, if someone's a mid-year enrollee, there's not much time left, period. So you might have to do it at that time. The other thing is if somebody is just entrenched and so solid that it's not an issue one way or another, then it may be fine. But if there's doubt in that young man's mind, and I don't know if it'd be wise to bring him in, quite frankly. I haven't talked to anybody in recruiting. I haven't talked to any recruits. So I haven't, again, I'm talking about making assessments. That's one of the biggest assessments is who do we have committed? Who do we have visiting? How many do we need at each position? Just the whole thing. There's so much to learn and so much film to watch of current players, of recruits, of commitments, of guys that have been offered, guys that are on the board for visits somewhere down the road in January. I mean, there's so much to look at and try to decide.
Well, can you start recruiting tonight, or do you have to wait?
You know what? I got to find out. That's a good question as well. I don't know if I can officially start. The answer I think would be yes, but I got to get with compliance to be sure.
Okay, thank you.
I hate being the one to ask you this, but, I wanted to ask you in what ways do you envision connecting with the fans in the community? And
Oh,
also I wanted to say that the fans in South Florida, I'm sure you've heard, nowadays are very tough
Yeah.
and they can be kind of mean-spirited.
Really?
They flew banners, fire this guy, fire that.
Yeah, that's part of the business.
I mean, how do you prepare that? How do you
I
deal
can't
with
wait to embrace them and thank them for being passionate about this school, being passionate about this team. You want passion. Football's really not as much fun if there's no one in the stands, nobody watching, no one cares. You want to be in a place where people care. So I'm excited about a fan base that cares, and if they get disappointed when we don't do well, I get disappointed too, but I would say this to the fan base. Sometimes voicing the negativity doesn't help the team. Doesn't help the team existing, doesn't help recruiting, it's one thing to be upset and want to say what you got to say and all that kind of thing, but if it becomes overwhelming, it can destroy a lot of goodwill that's built up in the recruiting of a kid. You might be recruiting a kid for 2 or 3 years, and he's like, man, but getting back to the deal, I'm glad I'm at a place that fans care. I'm glad I'm at a place where they're passionate. And then I want to thank them for the support. Yeah.
Mark, you've been in Athens obviously for 15 years. You built, you put down roots there in the community. You were Tallahassee before that. You were at Boca High when it was a very different place. How does, if I may ask a personal question, how do you at 55 think, you and your wife are gonna adjust to South Florida?
We're gonna love it. We already love it. It's our home. We're not gonna test the water. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna dive in the community. We're gonna dive in to the university. We love Miami. We love the University of Miami. And we can't wait to be a part of the community.
Little things, do you have a home? Do you have a church? Anything, any kind of
Here?
stuff down here that you can
We're
instantly
gonna
go
find
to?
them.
Yeah.
We're gonna find them. Catherine would be looking right now if it wasn't for her nursing exams today and Monday. But as soon as she frees up, she'll be looking for our home. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Mark, you mentioned in your press conference that you'd like to be a little bit more hands-on. What does that entail? And then also, why is that important to you now, kind of with what you
Well, first of all, I love to coach. And when I say that, when I talk about being more hands-on, just coaching technique, coaching fundamentals, coaching scheme, even calling plays, doing all those things. And for about 7 of the years at Georgia, I did all that. And then about the last 7.5 or so, I didn't. And then you become more of a CEO. You become more of you manage things, you manage coaches, you manage players, you inspire, you discipline, there's a lot of things to do, believe me. But it's like the president, you look at a lot of presidents of universities when they retire from being a president, what do a lot of them do? They go back and teach again. They go back and become a professor again because it's what they love to do in the beginning. Because it is more of a relational thing when you're doing it. And I think also, I think the players see when the head coach is right in the heart of everything. I think it's good for coaches to see. I think it's good for the players to see.
Just real quick, just defensive philosophy. Is it something where you don't look at personnel, what you have now? Do you have one in place in your mind, what you'd like to do?
Yeah.
Or, because you've went
I
through different
mentioned
ones.
before, a lot's going to depend on the man, the coordinator, what he believes in. Because there's more than one way to skin it. But, people talk about 4-3-3-4 and all that. Most 4-3 teams have a lot of 3-4 built into their scheme, and most 4-3 teams have a lot of 3-4 built in to what they do. What are we going to base out of? I mean, I've been on 3-4 teams where the only difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4 is the end man on the line was standing up instead of putting his hand on the ground. That's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same. So they're more alike than people, want to admit, or maybe that they know. But I do have, I have some great visions of some of the greatest defenses that have ever been here. But part of the reason why they were great was because of the guys, the dudes. We got to get the dudes. And I know we have some, but we got to get some more.
All right, last question, guys.
I'll say this, I was very impressed. They all took a turn across. That doesn't happen in many places.
I got them organized here, guys. I got them
How
organized.
many, quickly, are you going to be at the bowl game for Miami watching? And
I don't even know what bowl game that
We don't
Miami will
either.
be at. I don't know when and where it's going to be. I would love to be. That would be my desire to be, but I'm not, until I know what the deal is, I can't really answer.
The other thing is,
Guys,
how
that's
many
it.
years is the contract for?
I don't know. For long enough. I don't worry about that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.